Hi everyone, this is Gretchen. Hope you're all ready to make some cards tonight. Let me know when you're ready to go. Your envelope should hopefully be in order of the cards we'll do if you haven't changed them around. So this is the first card. So if you find the envelope in the stack with the avocado green card, and there'll be a butterfly in it, that will let you know which is the first envelope. I see a couple people on. I know a couple people can't make it live. So we will need to cut a couple of cards today. So have your paper cutter handy. Looks like I might be able to make it through the class without refilling my ATG gun tonight. I'm just going to wait a few minutes to see if anybody else logs in. We will have to search through our packet of Project Life cards for each card we're going to make. So if you want to look for the cards for the first one, it's going to be this sorry, the smell of the paper's getting to me again. This floral card, and this black text, which the other side is a gray text. So we got those two small ones, and then we've got two big ones. We've got one that's the floral print, and then we're going to put it on this this teal card that says better together. Oh, and they're right next to each other. So these are the 4 cards we need to create this card. There's not a ton of cutting in this class because these cards were so beautiful. I really wanted to make use of the whole design. You know, in the past, I've done a lot of cutting. So that's one of the reasons why I did these large format cards. So we had the space to use more of the design. What's the pale card? It's this, I assume you mean this one. It's white with the teal floral print on it. On the back, it's a black print. But we're going to use the teal side. And then in your envelope, and because this is the first envelope, you should have all your glitter gems for all your cards in the one envelope. And then you'll have a green card, and not sure why I have. Oh, I think I gave everybody some extra butterflies just in case. I had cut and stamped some extra butterflies, so you had some. We only need one, but that way, if you don't like how you color one of them, or whatever, you've got some extra. You can put more than one on your card if you want to. All right. Well, I'm going to just go ahead and get started, and hopefully anybody who joins us can catch up. So this is the paper collection we're using is in full bloom, and we got these supplies just in time because it was really popular, and I believe most of the products have sold out. Last weekend when I looked, these cards were still available. They were one of the few things still available. So if you wanted to make some more, you might still be able to get some PML cards. I'm using the In Full Bloom card making workshop stamp set. It comes with a whole set of supplies to make cards. Not these cards. These cards are my design. These are the stamps that come in the set. I'm not sure if it's still available, but you could always borrow mine if you wanted some more. And it comes with this film strip die cut, which you'll see on not this card, but some of the other cards. And then the butterfly, which I believe we used on every single card. So that's a stamp and a die cut. And then just a couple other things here. So you see I cut some extra supplies here. All right, like I said, these are large format cards. The cards are 5 1/4 this way by 7 7/8. You could cut them to be 8. I cut them a little smaller just so you didn't have quite as rough of a time slipping them into the envelope. An 8-inch card will fit, but it's a little tighter, especially if you have a lot of dimensional objects. So I just cut to the 7 by 7/8 just to make it just a little easier. And then, of course, the cardstock is actually cut to 10 1/2. And if it was just cut, you would have to score at 5 1/4 and then fold it in half. But I believe I scored and folded everybody's cards because they all got mailed or delivered, and so they fit in the envelope better. I'm pretty sure I folded everybody's cards for them already. And like all Close to My Heart cardstock, there are 2 shades. There's the true shade of the color. This is avocado. We're going to use the darker side of the cardstock, and the lighter side will be on the inside of the card. I did not stamp the inside of these cards. So you could use any kind of greeting or use them for any purpose. That is up to you. Okay, so like I said, hopefully your envelopes are still in the order we're going to do the cards. So this first one we need has the avocado card in it, and it has the butterfly, and hopefully it has all your gems for all of the cards in it. If your gems are not in this envelope, they're in another envelope, but hopefully you found them, and yours are colored. I'm going to show you how to color them. Okay, so the only card that gets trimmed on this card is this floral design. And we're going to just trim it 1/4 of an inch in each direction so it fits on top of this teal card in with an 1/8 inch border all the way around. So we want it to be 1/4 of an inch smaller than the real size. So what we're going to do is it's 6 inches wide right now. So we're going to cut it to 5 3/4 and cut it to 5 3/4 and then turn it and trim the height to 3 3/4. And no, I did not use my pieces that I cut off. So now you'll see that it fits perfectly centered on your teal card. So we can go ahead and attach that. And on a piece this size, I like to put my adhesive on all 4 sides, and then just a little bit in the middle as well. And when I attach it, I'm just going to make sure I am centered. And then we can go ahead and attach or apply adhesive to the back of the double layered piece. Again, all 4 sides and a little bit in the middle. And I'm going to attach this to the top left corner of the card, leaving a 1/8 inch border at the top and on the left. Trying to get my light a little better. Hope that helps. I'm not sure why I get these. Obviously, it's the frequency of the lights versus the camera. I have to learn more about that. Okay, so the next card we're going to put down is this white text on black. I'm going to try to make sure that it's right side up, even though you can't really read it, but I see. I don't know if it's actually really real words. Or maybe it's not English. I don't know, but this kind of looks like beautiful up here. So I'm going to take that as the right side. And I am going to attach this to the bottom right side of the card, again, leaving an 1/8 inch border on the right and on the bottom. So you have the same border up here that you do down here. and next I am gonna then apply my apply adhesive to my floral card. And I'm going to put this about 1/4 of an inch up from the bottom of the black card. So really just above that second line of text from the bottom. And about 3/4 of an inch from the right border of the black card. And that's where it's the placement doesn't have to be perfect. You just want to place it so you can see all of the different layers, all of the different textures. Of all the different cards. Okay, so next we're going to color our butterfly. And as part of your kit, you should have gotten an avocado shimmer brush. Now you see I actually wrote avocado on mine with a sharp point, one of these fine tip, ultra fine tip Sharpies, so that when I have a whole collection of these, I know which color is which. Now there's this little band of color here, so you can kind of see, well, it's kind of a yellowy green, but you know, I have several blues and which blue is which. So this is up to you. You've got the tip here. I just wanted to know this is avocado. You could also keep it packaged in the bag it came in, which has a sticker on it that says you know, the color, which is avocado. Now, when you get one of these pens, so I'm trying to look for a new one. I want to show you the proper way to prep these to open them. Okay, so when you have one of these pens, you'll have this yellow ring in it. So what you need to do is twist the top off, take off the yellow ring, and I'm not going to twist this all the way back on, but after you take off the yellow ring, you twist the top back on. There's a pin in the top that will pierce the barrel of the pen, which will allow the liquid to start moving. You cannot get the color until you've pierced it, and you have to so mine's already mine's already pierced. Ah! See, I shouldn't have done that. Crap. Oops, sorry. Don't do it. Don't do what I just did. I guess that could have been worse. Well, now I have a shimmery cutting board. And that is why they are shipped in that way. You're going to want some scrap paper to get started, to make sure you have your color flowing correctly before you put it to your card, to your butterfly. Okay, so see part of it. Yeah, my pen isn't. I didn't actually do that on purpose. My pen is just not. My cap isn't coming off properly. If you have any problems with yours, let me know. Just pull once you've got the cap twisted onto the barrel, you should just be able to pull the cap off. And I've never had this problem before, so I'm not sure what's going on. You should just be able to pull your cap off. And I don't know what's going on. Okay, there we go. So hopefully this is what your pen looks like. Thought I was going to have to use a different color there for a minute. Might want to keep your good papers away when you open it. Hopefully you won't have the problems though. See this turned? I don't. I'll figure it out later, I guess. All right. Now I have very green, sparkly hands. All right. You will probably need to squeeze the barrel of your pen a little bit to get the color going, but do not squeeze it too hard. Absolutely do not shake your pen with the cap off. If you need to shake it a little bit, make sure the cap is on. And you'll just want to test on scrap paper and make sure the color is flowing. And you should get your color see if I can. And I know you can see the sparkle here, but yeah, there is sparkle here where I just tested it, and you should get some sparkle in yours too. And if you don't, put the cap back on, shake it a little bit, and try again. And then once you have it going, then you can color in your butterfly. And now this, you don't want to put a ton of liquid down on here because I just used the regular ink to stamp. I didn't use the archival ink. You do not need to squeeze your pen while you are coloring. The liquid should flow, just flow off the brush without squeezing it. If for some reason it doesn't and you have to squeeze, do it over the scrap paper, not over your good paper, because whenever you squeeze, a big blob will come out. And you don't want that. You don't want the mess that I just got. So you can just color the wings. I'm kind of avoiding the black, these kind of black blobs on the wings, but you can brush right over them if you want them, but you'll still see the black through. It's just more pronounced if you don't color over them. And then I'm just doing around the edge here. And you'll see lots of color, and you'll see that shimmer. And you can just do the wings if you want, but I want to do the body too. So I'm going to go ahead and fill that in. Put your cap back on, one so it dries out, two so it doesn't make a mess. And there you go. Oh, there's in the light a little better. All right, I'm just going to go wash my hands quick because I just feel like I'm getting this all over everything. Well, I'm still green, but I'm not as shimmery, so. Okay, so this dries pretty quick if you don't put a ton of liquid on it. So you should be able to go ahead and put your foam tape on and put it on your card. But if you wanted to wait a little longer till it dried, you can just put it aside for now and do that. So I have a giant roll of foam tape that I'm just cutting off little pieces of to put on my butterfly. I'm just trying not to touch the shimmer in case it's not dry yet. And you're just going to put the butterfly down here, kind of in the corner of the floral card. Just trying to get the light in a better spot. Oh, I am. Thought that was a space between the two wings, I guess, when I'm not going to put my cap all the way on so I can get it back off. So I had just, I had skipped that space. That looks better. All right, and now we just have to put the gems on, and yours should all be colored. These are glitter gems in silver. They come in a couple of different colors, but I like to coordinate with my card. So we've got the larger size and the smaller size. And you can color these any color you want. Get the white paper back. With an alcohol ink markers. I like to use Sharpies. Sharpies are alcohol ink. You can use Copics or obviously the markers, the tricolor markers that Close to My Heart sells. Any alcohol base, not watercolor. Watercolor will just bead right up and will not stay on the gem. And so you can color coordinate your gems to any color you like. So just taking a look here to see. And I colored some of mine, but I wanted to show you how I colored them. So basically I'm just taking the marker and rubbing over it a couple of times. If you want a darker color, at least with the markers I've used, if you do one coat and let it dry a bit and then do another coat, you usually can get a darker color. I'm sure you can't see in the detail of my camera, but I am getting a darker shade, although this pen is starting to dry out, so I think I need to get another set of them because some of my colors are drying out. Okay, so these gems are adhesive backed, so you can just stick them on your card, but I do find sometimes that the adhesive is not the best when it gets handled a lot with a card. So I like to add a small drop of liquid glue underneath, and I do mean a small drop. So I'm going to put 2 drops here in the upper corner and then 3 down here. So those are my drops of glue. And I pick up my gems with my X-Acto knife. Be careful when you do this, though, of the blade. And I'm going to do the large green one first. I'm also going to try to be careful because I know they're still wet. Okay, so the other thing is sometimes they want to peel off the adhesive. So if you put, this is the right side up, if you kind of rub your fingernail against the gem, it'll help transfer the adhesive onto the gem. I'm just doing the whole sheet here. I really don't want to touch the 2 I just colored, even though they're probably dry already, but that blue one just shot out at me. So, and then hopefully the adhesive dot will transfer to your gem and you can pick it up and then put it on your dot of glue. You can skip that dot of glue if you want. It's just something I like to do for an extra bit of security. Now that blue one shot off. It did not transfer that glue dot for me. Tonight's going to be a struggle, guys. All right, that one, I'm going to add a little piece of glue because another little drop of glue because now the glue has been drying longer than I planned. And that adhesive did not transfer, so I got to make sure that the glue actually works for me because it's the only adhesive this gem's going to have. And this is the large blue one. I put the large green one up here and then a small silver one. And then I've got the large blue one here, a large silver one to the bottom left, and then a small green one to the bottom right of the gem cluster. And that's what it looks like. Some of that blue color transferred off when I was handling it. So I'm just going to try to add a little more back on, being careful not to color on the cardstock. If my gem was still on the plastic carrying sheet, I would go around the edge, which would have, you can see that I got some, well, maybe you can't see. But anyway, I got some marker onto the plastic sheet the gem comes on because going around the edge of the gem. But I'm going to be careful not to do that because I don't want to transfer any color onto my cardstock. So that's all we have to do for this card. Really easy if your supplies cooperate. Hopefully you had an easier time than I did. And turning on the lights behind me, if that helps, because it seems like there's a lot of shadow tonight. I guess with the daylight lasting longer now and it's actually still light out, it's affecting the lighting in my work area. Okay. On to the next card. Clean up these supplies in case I have another disaster. I'll leave that there so you can still see it. All right, so this is the next card. And we've got the aqua cardstock, which is, the color is Glacier. These envelopes, by the way, are A8 is the official size of the envelope. All right, and inside you should have a avocado butterfly, and you should have 3 of these little squares. Now the squares, we haven't seen the film strip yet. We will on the next card. These squares come out of the film strip. They're the pieces when you die cut. They're the pieces from in between, and I figured why not use them. So we are also going to search for our Picture My Life cards. So we need, from the small cards, we need the one with this flower, and we need the light bulbs. So this is the floral one. It's this aqua. It says, do what you love. It says the same on the front and back. Just one's horizontal, one's vertical. And here are the light bulbs. On the back, there are more light bulbs in yellow. So those are the 2 smaller size. in terms of the larger cards, you need this ledger sheet. And you need the one with the film strip on it. And there's one on each side. We're going to use the larger one, the vertical format. And the ledger, again, it's on both sides. And we're going to use this one with the card held in the vertical format. Okay, so those are the 4 Picture My Life cards we need. I'm going to go ahead. No, I'm not. Okay. Again, your card should already be folded. And the lighter, the darker color is on the outside, the lighter's on the inside. Make sure I've got everything where you can see it. And the first card we're going to put down is the light bulbs. And we don't have to cut the first couple of them. So you're going to put the adhesive on the yellow side. And you're going to put this in the top right corner with that 1/8 inch border at the top and the right. And then we're going to do the ledger. And again, we're going to hold it in the vertical format. So when you put the adhesive on, you're going to put the adhesive on the side that has the horizontal format. And we're going to put that in the bottom left corner of the card, again, with the 1/8 inch border on the left and the bottom. And the card, we're going to hold it so those, the double vertical lines are on the left. So you have the same 1/8 inch border in this corner as you do in this corner. Okay, so next we're going to put the Do What You Love card, and we're going to hold this one in the vertical format too. So when you put your adhesive on the back, you're putting the adhesive on the horizontal format. And we're going to put this on the card so you're about 1/8 of an inch to the right of those double vertical lines. And if you want to count your shaded ledger lines, you've got that darker one, white, dark, white. And then that third from the bottom dark one, it's going to be right in the middle of that line. Or if you want to look from the top, it's right below that, the first dark ledger line. And this one I moved over. It's more of 1/4 of an inch. It's a little less space on my other one, but it doesn't really matter. Somewhere between an 1/8 and 1/4 of an inch away from that double ledger line. But none of the other pieces are it doesn't, you're not going to run out of space if it's a little over one way or the other. Okay, so now we need our film strip, and you can cut this on a paper cutter. You can cut it, put your ruler and cut with an X-Acto knife. I'm just going to cut with scissors because it's a nice straight line. I'm just going to cut at the edge of that film strip. And I just want the film strip. And I'm going to put adhesive on the back of that. And I'm going to put it on an angle. And what I'm going to do is I want to cover up the words. So I'm going to put it on an angle so that the majority of the words are covered up. Or at least whatever's showing is not really recognizable as a word. So if you see, you can see that serif from the D's, from the do, are sticking out a little bit, but it just looks like a line. Nobody knows what that is. And you've got got about a 1/4 of an inch space at the bottom, and it rises above the letter sheet about a 1/4 of an inch on the right side here. Again, it's not like it's got to be in a precise space. It's just what looks good to you. Okay, now we're going to put our little green squares on. And these are kind of, they're small pieces, so it's not always easy to put adhesive on a tiny piece like this. So you might find it easier just to use liquid glue or glue stick. It's up to you. And what I'm doing is centering it in that space there. So I have a pretty equal border on the left, the right, and the top. On a small piece, sometimes you can't get the adhesive on perfectly. You get some overhang, so I'm just rubbing it to the back. And you're gonna attach another one right below there with that same spacing between, that equal spacing between the two blocks and the two sides. And the third one is going to go up in this corner with the same kind of spacing. Just using my bone folder to make sure it's attached really well, all the pieces really. And those are all your paper pieces. Now I'm going to go ahead and attach my butterfly now before I color it, because then I don't have to worry about it whether it's dry or not when I do attach it. If you don't feel comfortable doing that, you don't have to. And I mean, obviously, if I was going to color something like with a colored pencil or whoops. Or a fine tip marker, I wouldn't necessarily do this because it doesn't have a totally flat back with the foam tape, but because the brush, the shimmer brush, the liquid flows so easily, I feel confident that I can color it well already attached to the card. And if you, I didn't say this before, but if you didn't want to use foam tape and you wanted to attach it flat to the card, you could do that as well. So now I'm going to be, I was going to say I was going to carefully open it, but you saw how well that went. And I'm just going to go ahead. And now this is, the shimmer brush is, the liquid of the shimmer brush is the same color as the cardstock, the avocado. But when it dries, it is a little darker than the cardstock. And of course, you still get the shimmer. So, so it's definitely worth coloring because you will see the difference. And you'll see when you have the two of them together, the shimmer, the shimmer is different on a darker colored cardstock than it is on the white cardstock. They're both beautiful, but you do get a different look. So I get a blob of shimmer on my sample card, but yeah, the shimmer, I can see it really well, but it's not coming through for you guys. You can see that big blob. You can see it a little bit more there. I guess maybe when it dries, it's easier to see. Now, what I also did was, because the card did not have enough shimmer for me, I added a little shimmer to these blocks. Totally up to you. But what I did was I just took my brush, my shimmer brush here, and I just kind of went back and forth over the square lightly, and it adds a little bit of color and a little bit of shimmer. Again, let me try with the dark one. Yeah, it seems like once it dries, you can see it better. So that's up to you. It depends on how much shimmer you want on the card. And I mean, you can experiment on your scrap paper before you do it on your card too. And then once again, we'll need some gems here. So I need to color a few more. I'm going to go ahead and color the rest of what I need while I'm here, so then they can start drying and we won't have to go through this on every card. Now that you know what I'm doing, hopefully. This is really a great solution to if you don't have you don't have the right color gem to match your project. And you can color, as long as the gem is a light color, like these are silver, or, some people would say they're clear. They're called silver in the catalog. So they're easy to color. I honestly haven't tried. I've always used a clear or a silver gem to color over, but I would imagine other colors. If like say you had like a light yellow, you could probably deepen the color, as long as you're trying to get a darker color than what you already have, like a light pink if you wanted it to be a dark pink or a purple or something, a light yellow if you wanted it to be an orange or more of a deeper gold. Go ahead and try it. And like I said, I mean, these will get deeper in color if I let it dry and add more to it. So I don't see why a gem that already has some color to it couldn't be colored over. Okay, so hopefully those are all the colors I need, so that I'm set for all the rest of the cards. And so, that's they're splashes of my shimmer brush before with my little disaster. Kept trying to clean off the card, not knowing what was there. All right, so I want to add drops of glue where I want my gems. And I'm going to put 2 in the top here, kind of like in the corner between the film strip and that floral card, and then 1 to the upper left of that. And then again in the corner, the lower corner of those 2 elements, and then 1 to the lower left, and then 1 to the lower right. Whoops. Don't lose control of your glue bottle. I'm going to show you the card with the gems on it because you could see those easier than like dots of glue. That's where they all go. So I've got a large green in the top. Boy. And then I've got a large silver next to that. So green and silver, both large. And then in the bottom, closest to the cards, I have a large blue. Sometimes when you put it on the glue, it doesn't want to stick right away. So get it down there and then try to let it dry without futzing too much over with it so it doesn't slide off. Then we've got a small green. And a small silver. Okay, so we've got down here at the bottom, we've got the large blue and the small green and the small silver. And that's it for this card. Okay. Clean off my foam tape backing from my scrap paper here. All right, so the next card is this one right here. It's got a black cardstock. And we've got a green film strip And we've got 2 blue squares. So you can see now where see the squares, they came out of those, and why not use them? And then you've got a white butterfly, and then you've got another piece of black cardstock. Never enough space. Okay, so we need to find our cards, our Picture My Life cards, and we're going to use this this smaller card in the floral. It says It's Beautiful Life. It says the same thing on the back in yellow. We're going to use another small one. This one here, which has numbers on it, kind of looks like a document. It says 1, 2, 3, 4 in very faint gray. On the back, it's the same thing in a aqua print. And then the large card is this floral, or this lacy kind of look. And I know I've passed it a couple times. Okay, yeah, it's this one. It's green on one side, and then it's aqua to teal. This teal color is actually called Lagoon. This lighter aqua is Glacier, and this deeper shade is Lagoon. So we're going to use that. So the first card we're going to put down is this one with the numbers. And put the adhesive on the aqua side so that the gray side is showing. And I put all my elements on the card here. So we're going to put this in the lower left corner. And as usual, we're going to leave a 1/8 inch border on the left side and the bottom. We're going to do the same thing with the lace type designed card. We're going to put the adhesive on the green side, although the green side is really pretty too. I just love all the colors on the. I know most of you know I love these colors, but the designs in this collection are really beautiful. And this is going to go in the upper right, and the way I put it was the lighter color at the top, getting darker as you go down the card. And you're going to leave that 1/8 inch border on the top and on the right. Next, you're going to put adhesive on your floral card. I'm going to put it on the yellow side. And you're going to put that onto that extra piece of black cardstock. And it should be just big enough that you're going to center it on the card, and you're going to get an 1/8 inch border all the way around. And then you're going to put adhesive on the back of that black cardstock. And we're going to put this on top of the blue card. You're going to put it all the way to the right edge of the card and about a half an inch down from the top of the blue lace card, which is about 1/8 of an inch past this first kind of swag. So see all the way to the edge of the card. So this kind of border is the same on both cards. And then a little bit down from that first swag. But again, the spacing is not crucial. Once in a while, I'll put something where, if you don't put it in the right spot, you don't see something, but this is not the case for these cards. Luckily, by having the larger format, we have the spacing to play around. Okay, so next we're going to put down the blue squares. I'm putting the adhesive on the lighter side so that the darker side is the one that's showing. And the first one is going to go, we're going to center it in this black rectangle, which means we'll have about an 1/8 inch border to the left and the right, but you're going to have about a half an inch above and below it. And then to make it symmetrical, we're going to put the second one, again, we're going to center it left to right in this space here, but we're going to put about a half an inch or more, maybe about 3/4 of an inch, whatever you think looks good, about a half an inch above this card to have that kind of spacing. Okay, so now we're going to put the film strip on. When I have die cuts like this with detail, smaller area, I like to use a glue pen because, I could use 1/8 inch tape along the strips here. That's a lot of work. And then you don't get the area here where the sprockets go. Old-fashioned camera. Those are the sprockets that hang on to those holes there and advance the film. I'm just looking for my glue pen here. So this is a Zig glue pen, and if you want to work relatively quickly because it's a two-way glue, which means that when you first put it on, it's a permanent adhesive. If you let the glue dry and it turns blue, it becomes a temporary adhesive, like a Post-it note, which is a great option, but we want actually a permanent stick. So I'm just going to get my card ready here. And you see it's going to go on at an angle here. So the other thing is when you put it on, you want to be careful that your piece does not move on your scrap paper, because you'll get glue on your scrap paper, and then if your piece moves onto that glue, you'll get glue on the front. Now, that's not to say I don't constantly do that, but I try not to. So I'm just, and by doing this over scrap paper, I can just kind of scribble it on. And see, I just shifted, so I'm just going to move it over to a clean area. And if you saw that I did these strips in the middle first, and I'm just going over them again because I want to make sure they have plenty of adhesive. And then I'm going to put it onto my card, this angle here, about 3/4 of an inch from the bottom of the card, and angle it so the film strip is not really on the drawn flower here. It is over the corner of the card, but not on the flower illustration itself. And again, it's not really crazy important where it is. Whoops. It's just as a design element. And I'm using my bone folder here to press it down really well to make sure that glue really adheres. Now, you can use a glue stick. Just want to be careful because they can leave kind of globs of glue. If you have a lighter hand with it, that's good. And like I said, you could put 1/8 inch tape on each of those strip areas. That's fine. Or you could use liquid glue and just put little dabs of liquid glue all over the place. I tend to be messier with the liquid glue, so that I just find the glue pen easier for me. So that's my preferred method. And now again, I'm going to put my my butterfly on first. With foam tape. I'm just saving my scrap paper for the glue there because we will put a couple other foam strips on. So I've got a white butterfly here, and I am going to attach it to my card first and then color it with the shimmer brush. That went pretty well last time, so we'll hope for the best. Let's hope that the supplies stop revolting on me for the rest of class. I'm just going to pull my backing paper off over my garbage can. And I'm going to attach this on an angle at the top of the film strip and the corner of the floral card. And actually, I'll go ahead and put my my shimmer brush on my butterfly. And I did not add the shimmer brush to these squares because these squares are the aqua, not the green, but you could if you wanted to. But just remember, you'll get that green color and not just the shimmer. Now, these shimmer brushes do come in a variety of colors, a whole bunch of different colors, including clear. So you can add shimmer without adding color if you decide you like using them. And I gotta squeeze a little to get a little more. Color into my brush. I'm just squeezing carefully because I don't want to. There we go. I don't want to squeeze just want a little more color. I don't want a huge blob. which is very easy to do. So don't feel bad if that's what you get. Oops. Let's try not to do that. I forgot. So got some shimmer there. That one has a lot of shimmer. See, when they're new, they tend to have you get, and you do a lot of shaking and you do the squeezing, you can get a lot of shimmer on it. But you could do that on purpose if you'd like to. All right, so we've got our cluster of gems all here down at the bottom. So I'm going to go ahead and add a bunch of dots of glue. If you just want to add one drop of glue and attach the gem first and then do the next one so you feel more comfortable on the spacing, that's fine too. Whatever you find easy. All right, so we've got a large silver at the top. And then we have a large green one below it and to the right. And between those two, we have a small green one to the left of those two. Whoops. And then we have a large blue one to the bottom left. And then a small silver all the way on the bottom right. So we've got large silver, small green, large green, large blue, small silver. And that completes that card. All right, so our next card is probably our most complicated card in terms of cutting, but it's not too bad. Got a white cardstock card, and we have a large piece of green and white striped cardstock. This is paper from the paper collection. Got a large piece of black cardstock, a smaller piece of black cardstock, a blue butterfly, and two black squares. And then we have to find our PML cards. And we want this floral. We're going to use this blue card that is basically a solid, and on the back is a white solid. It's kind of have some flecks in it, but. And then we want this large plaid card. And the last one. This card here, which has the floral swag at the top at the bottom. On the back, it has a large one, but we're going to use this side with, this side with the two. So we need a bunch of cards for this one. Okay, so the first piece we'll put on is the green and white stripe. And we're going to center this on the front of the card. You will have your 1/8" border around all four sides. Sorry, I'm having trouble centering it because it was a little too far away from me. Okay, so center that. We're then going to do the plaid. And the plaid, there's a green plaid. We're going to use the green plaid. There's a black plaid on the back. We're going to attach that to the larger piece of black cardstock, centered. Got some adhesive overhang that I'm just pushing to the back. And then we're going to apply adhesive to the back of this so we could attach it to the card. So this one I'm going to place, see, you've got a bunch of skinnier strips on this side and a thicker strip on that side. That's how I'm going to place it on the card, with that thicker strip to the right. And I'm going to put this down in the bottom left corner with about 1/4 inch border of the green and white stripe. So you'll have 1/8 inch of the white card, about 1/4 inch of the green and white stripe, and then you've got your layered pieces. We're going to take our floral card with the butterfly. There's a horizontal orientation on the back, and we're going to attach it to the smaller piece of black cardstock. So go ahead and apply adhesive to the back of this card. center it on your black cardstock. And then apply adhesive to the back of the cardstock. And we're going to attach it to the card. Let me give you this measurement because it's a little 1 1/4. So you're going to attach it all the way to the right edge of the card, and you're going to be 1 1/4 inches from the bottom of the green and white striped paper. So to the right edge and 1 1/4 inches from the bottom of the green and white striped paper. Again, not super crucial. If you're off a little bit, no big deal. Okay, so what we're going to do with our floral swag here, we're going to cut these off. And we're going to put it in the paper cutter, and I'm just going to, so this is the one. So if we're holding it this way, you kind of have more space at the top of this one than at the bottom, than on this one. Between the top of the flower and the edge of the card, there's more space on this one than on this one. We're going to put it in our paper cutter. So we're cutting just past the swag, and I have it in my paper cutter at 1 3/8 of an inch, and that's where I'm cutting it. So this was the top of the card here. I cut it at 1 3/8 inches wide, and that gets me with just about 1/8 of an inch of white space below those two little leaves, the points of the leaves. I'm going to turn it around in my cards, in my paper trimmer, to cut this other one off. And this one I'm going to cut really, I want to cut just above that first line, because that gives me that little bit of white space below the leaf. And that's about at 1 1/4. And the 1 1/4 leaves the line on the card, which I don't really want, but it's not really that noticeable. So you can decide if you don't want it, just position it just below or right before 1 1/4. Not 1 1/8, not even 1 3/16, just a hair under 1 1/4, and that gets rid of that line. But it's up to you. And then what we're going to do is we're going to attach them to this blue card. I'm going to go ahead and put adhesive on the back of both of them at once. While I have my gun in my hand, it's just easier. And then I'm going to attach them each to this card to the opposite sides. And now this width is the same width as the card. I'm going to attach it so I have about 1/8 of an inch So I about have an 1/8 of an inch strip of blue showing. And I'm going to turn it around, and I'm going to, oh boy, I must have trimmed this one. Sorry about this, guys. Hold on. Okay, sorry. You know how we cut this? It was 1 3/8. That's going to be too wide to get enough of the blue card. So we want to trim an 1/8 of an inch off of this top. You know how I said this one was a little farther down? So I already have adhesive on here. So I'm going to put it into my paper trimmer upside down. So you want this border, this bottom. This was the top of the card. This is the bottom of the swag. We want the bottom of the swag at 1 1/4. Put it upside down to minimize the adhesive that sticks to the paper cutter, but of course there's still some that sticks. And now it's 1 1/4 inches wide. I'm sorry I didn't catch that. These cards are all printed differently, so when you're trying to cut out designs like that, sometimes you get the goofy inconsistency. It's if it was printed, and yours might not be printed the same way mine is. Yours might have been perfect at 1 1/4 the first time. So anyway, now I can stick it to my blue card on the opposite edge. So I have that 1/8 inch border on this side too. And now I have 1/4 of an inch between the two of them. And you can go ahead and trim right down the middle, which will be at 1 1/2 inches because this card is 3 inches wide. And so now you have an 1/8 inch strip on either side of both swags. I hope that wasn't too confusing. Now, one of these swags, and I like this one better. This is one, if you hold them both this way, you can see that the flower is going the same direction. You have the single petal at the top of the flower, and down at the bottom, it's 5 flowers. So there's a split between 2 petals at the bottom. That's how I hold them. That to me is the top of the flower is that single petal in the middle. And so this swag kind of goes, it is, if you start on the outside edge, it goes down and then up, and then down and then up. Whereas this one goes up and then down, up and then down. Do you see that difference? If it doesn't bother you at all, don't even worry about it. But I just like the look of this one better than this one. It's just one of those crazy visual design things. So this is the one I'm going to keep whole, because if you see on the card, one of them is whole and one of them I cut shorter. So this one I'm going to keep whole. So this one I'm going to put at the top of my card, and this one I'm going to cut and put it at the bottom. So I'm going to take the one I cut, and I want it to be 2 1/2 inches wide. It is currently 4. So that means I want to cut off 1.5 inches, which means I want to cut off 3/4 of an inch on each side because I want to keep it centered. So I'm going to go ahead and put it in my paper cutter, and I'm going to put it at 3 1/4 inches. And I'm going to chop it. And then I'm going to turn it around, and I'm going to put it at 2.5 inches and chop. So that gives me a 2.5 inch wide piece with the flower still in the center. I cut 3/4 of an inch off each edge. And I'm gonna go ahead and put adhesive on the back of each of these again. You'll notice on the card, the leaves are colored in green. We're gonna do that with our shimmer brush, but as I did with my butterflies, I am going to attach it all to the card first. And then I don't have to worry about juggling damp pieces while they're drying. Okay, so this one I'm going to put at the top of my card about 1/8 of an inch away from the right edge of the green and white striped paper. And I'm putting the center of the strip, the flower, kind of right in line with the top of that black cardstock. So you can see the top edge kind of splits right down the middle of that card. And then this other piece down on the bottom, I'm going to place about, I'm going to line up the left edge with the left edge of the card, and I'm going to put it about 1/4 of an inch above the bottom edge of the plaid card. And you'll see it will overlap this card. And then we could put on our black squares. All right, so the first one is going to go in this bottom right corner. And as you see, I put this card a little lower. Oh, actually what I did was I positioned the plaid a little higher than I did on my sample card. So I am going to, it just fits. So that wouldn't leave any kind of border. So I'm going to actually bring it down a little bit. And I'm going to position it, whoops. That's what you get when you leave pieces with adhesive on laying around. So I'm going to bring it down so it's kind of overlapping the edge of that card. If you have enough space, this is how I positioned it on my sample card. So it kind of has an equal border at the top, bottom, and the right edge. It's a little less than 1/8 of an inch, but it fits in there just fine. If you don't have if you did like I did and you don't have quite the space, you can do it like this. You can leave it off. You know, whatever you got. And then my second square, I'm going to put in the top left, and I'm going to put it 1/8 of an inch from the left edge of the plaid card and 1/8 of an inch below. So 1/8 of an inch here, the left edge of the plaid card, and 1/8 of an inch below the blue strip. And now I'm going to put my butterfly on with my foam tape. I'm going to take off my tape backing over my garbage. And then I'm going to position this in the left side of the card, overlapping the floral. Kind of between the two floral swag strips. And then we just have to add our shimmer brush and our gems. So let's see if I can get this back off. There we go. Now, I did not color the whole butterfly this time. I only colored his body, not the wings. See? And then I colored the leaves on the swag because they just, with so much color on all the other cards, the black and white image, which, while beautiful, it just looked like it, to me, it didn't have enough color to stand out on the rest of the card. Now I've got my brush flowing well, and it's a little too well. I gotta be careful. Not make too much of a mess. If you have too much coming out, you find you can scribble some off on scrap paper first if you need to. You might it might actually be helpful if when you pick it up and start to use it, always start on scrap paper just so you know how the flow is working and that you've got a good mix of color and shimmer. And you're not going to get a big blob. Hopefully you guys are doing okay with the brushes, because I know some of you, it's probably the first time you've used them. It's really like a watercolor brush. If you guys have ever used the watercolor brushes that have the water already in them and you just dip them into the paint, it's actually the pen is actually designed the exact same way. Okay. So now I've got green leaves. And if I had another color shimmer brush, which I do, but didn't include with the class kit because it would have made it even more expensive, you could always color your flowers too if you want, like they did here, in the printing process. Or if you had a colored pencil or another marker and you wanted to color those flowers, that would be beautiful too. I'm going to add our gems. Oh, sorry, I forgot. Before I do that, with the shimmer brush, I also did those little scribbles on these black squares to add some shimmer. You're not going to really get the color. You kind of get a faint shadow, a green, mostly you're going to get the shimmer on them. Let me show you. See? It's kind of like a silvery shimmer, and that's what the clear one will look on any color. All right, so I'm gonna add my dots of glue, and I've got 3 up here, kind of to the right of the black square, and I've got 2 down here to the left of the black square. And on the top, I start with a small green. And the topmost one, and then a large blue. They really want to bounce all over today. And then a small silver. And then down here we've got a large green. And a large silver. Excuse me. So we've got small green, large blue, small silver, large green, small silver. And that completes that card. Two more to go. Okay, we've got the camera card, which is an avocado card base. Whoops. And we have a aqua or glacier film strip, a white butterfly, and a glacier square and a black square. And the cards we're going to look for are this black and white polka dot. That's easy to spot. On the black, black, it's yellow and white polka dot. We're going to use this large card with the multicolored butterflies on it. On the back, it's just aqua and white. They just look strange, but I can see it's just because the print is faded at the bottom of the butterflies. Okay. And then we need the camera card, which is also a large card. And the last one is this pale aqua with the teal printing on it, and that's a smaller card. And it's this one here, and it says, "With you, I am home." So it has this kind of, the center oval with its design around the outside. The back of it is black, which is easier to find in the stack. Mine was that direction anyway. So we're going to cut this butterfly card first. Why don't we go ahead and do that so all our pieces are the right size. And we are just going to trim this to 4.5 inches long. So I'm just going to put it in my paper cutter, the top of it at 4.5 inches, and cut it. And I am definitely saving this piece because it's still big enough that it has that I can use it on another card. Or I could put it on the inside if I wanted to. So that's the only one we had to cut. We're also going to cut out this camera. We can do that now. And gotta find my scissors. So what I'm going to do is, and we're going to cut the one on this side. And I'm going to leave a little less than an 1/8 inch border of white background. See, along the edge when I cut out. And I know I've said this before, but the reason I do that is because if you cut an image right on the edge, like on the drawn edge of the image, and you are not perfect, and you cut into that drawn line, or you get a little bit away from it, it is so much more noticeable that you didn't cut perfectly than if you leave this little white border. And if your little white border gets a little wider or a little narrower in different areas, it doesn't matter. It's not going to be as noticeable as if you're cutting right on that line. So that's a little trick for you. And basically that's all you got to do. Luckily, that's a pretty easy shape to trim out. Okay, so we could start attaching our pieces. I see you want me to repeat something, but I don't know what you want me to repeat. So we've got our green card. We're going to put down our black and white polka dot piece first. And we're going to put this in the bottom left corner. And we're going to leave an 1/8 inch border on the left side and on the bottom. And maybe you wanted me to repeat this measurement. This was 4.5 inches tall. So if you put it in your paper cutter with the top of the card at 4.5 inches and trim it, it becomes 4 inches wide by 4.5 inches tall. So that's the only thing I can think of that you might wanted me to repeat. If it's something else, just let me know. All right, so I'm going to put a piece of on the back of this. And I'm going to put this in the top right corner with my 1/8 inch border at the top and the right. You guys should be experts at this now. And then I'm going to put my teal card. And honestly, because it's a repeated design, you don't really have to worry about putting it on upside down, but because we are going to cover up the text. And I'm going to leave about 1/4 inch on the left side and the bottom, 1/4 inch of that black and white polka dot at the left and at the bottom. And then we'll put our 2 squares on. So we'll put the blue one on first. Glacier. Aqua, I should say. But I mean, the name of it is Glacier. It's an aqua color. Okay, so we're going to put this centered top to bottom in the green space with an equal border on the left, which should be right in line with your black and white card. So you should have 1/8 of an inch around the top, the left, and the bottom. And then we're going to put the black one on next to it and leave that same 1 inch or 1/8 inch space between the two squares. The squares are close to squares, but I think they're slightly rectangular. Like if you've noticed that I just rotated the black one because it seemed like the other side was taller. Could be my imagination. And now we are going to put on our glacier film strip. So I'm getting my scrap paper back out. And my glue pen. And I didn't mention this before, but if you need more glue, this is when you press the tip in. Show you this way to get the glue flowing. So I'm going to put that across my middle strips and then go along my sprocket holes on both sides. Of course, it's always a challenge of where to put your fingers once you got glue on the whole thing. You could use tweezers, but I'm really not great at keeping things down when I'm holding a tweezer. And now I'm going back across those strips again just to make sure that glue is nice and wet and holds well. And now I'm going to put this on an angle, kind of like right below that bottom right corner of the black square. And just angle it downward. Just burnish it down, make sure it's attached well. Get that out of the way. And now I'm going to attach both my butterfly and my camera with foam tape. Close my glue pen before I make a mess. Running out of fingers. If these little pieces of foam tape drive you crazy, you can always cut bigger pieces. I know these cards are going to go in the mail, so I just want a little extra support on them, even though they're little pieces. I probably don't. I'm probably putting more on there than I need to, but and I'm just going to pull the backing out off over my garbage can. Whoops. And I threw the butterfly into the garbage can. It tried to fly away on me. All right. So on my camera, I'm going to put it right in the center of this card here, right over that printing. And I'm going to put my butterfly overlapping my film strip. And now I'm going to put my gems on. Nope, I'm sorry. I'm going to put my shimmer brush on. Now you might notice I did not actually put the shimmer brush on these squares because I would have put it on the black one, but I thought it would be weird to just put it on the black and not on the blue, and I didn't want the green on the blue. Again, if you had another color like the blue, or if you had a clear one, you could do that. But I didn't want a scribble of green color on the blue card, on the blue square, so. If you had a bunch of these butterflies or something else that you were going to color with these shimmer brushes, like if you're making a bunch of cards, you could always sit and color in front of the TV or something like that. And then they'd be ready to go when you wanted to sit and make them. And that's the only, I missed a couple of spots on my sample card, so I'm just going to add a little right there while I have my brush out. Excuse me, my throat's starting to get dry. I'm running out of water here. Okay, so we colored our butterfly, and I didn't color anything else on the card, so all we have to do is put on our gems. So I'm going to put my dots over here. I'm having trouble getting my glue trap on. Okay, so we are going to put on a large green gem at the top, a large blue one below that, and then a large silver one. And then we've got a small green one. down here by the camera, and a small silver one. Well, I missed, and I wiped my glue off. So I need a new dot. The tip of my glue has got a little bit of dried glue around it, which is why I was having a hard time putting the top on before. Okay. It was really stuck to my blade there. Okay, so we've got large green, large blue, large silver, small green, small silver. So, got one last card. Hope you're enjoying these. Such a beautiful collection. I'm sorry it sold out so quickly, so it's not available anymore. The new catalog is out, so there's a lot of good stuff in that. My green square is peeling up from on the next card, so I'm just fixing that if you're wondering what I'm doing. I didn't put as much adhesive on the squares on my sample set, which is why I'm making sure to put a lot more that looks like overkill on this one, because a couple of them were peeling up and I wanted to fix that. Okay, so this is the last card. And it's a black card base. And we've got a black film strip, a white butterfly, two green squares, and a banner that says smiles and hugs. Okay, so let's cut what needs to be cut first. So, we got to get our cards out because that's what needs to be cut. So, we are going to use the green kind of geometric print there. It's aqua on the back. The blue with the bird in the corner. It's green on the back. And the big card, which is this, it's kind of a, brushed, kind of a brushed background, and it's kind of greenish on one side, and we're going to use the side that's more bluish, teal aqua. And there's a couple of cards left along with the pieces we cut off of the other cards, and these are all extra. Do with what you'd like, but we will not need those. I am going to need this other gem, so I'm going to get that out. And then I did want to show you when my pen exploded and I had to rub it. You'll see that my carefully marked avocado with my Sharpie rubbed off. And I did want to, that's not unusual. If you rub over it, it's supposed to be a permanent marker, but it's not totally permanent and it will come off. So if you decide to do that, try to be careful not to rub it off. Avocado is a weird word to spell, I have to say. Okay, so I'm just writing that back on there. And hopefully I won't have to clean it off again. And we need to cut this card. This is the card we are trimming. It is 6 inches wide. We want it to be 5. Let me just confirm that. Yes, we want it to be 5. But I want this bigger blob of color left. I'm going to cut this side off because there's less color on this side. So I'm going to turn it around. So that bigger blob of color, that darkest area of teal, is in the bottom left. I'm going to put that in my paper cutter at 5 inches. And I'm just going to trim that off. So you see this piece that I trimmed off, it doesn't have a lot of color. It has a little more on the back where it's green, but so you can save that or you can toss that, whatever. And now I'm going to turn it back around because that's where I want this in the top right. So we can go ahead and attach that to our card first. Whoops. Okay. And so I'm putting the adhesive on the back. And once again, I'm going to put this at the top of the card. It's actually going to be centered left to right with that 1/8 inch border at the top. So 3 sides have that 1/8 inch border. And again, this largest blob of teal color is going to be in your top right corner. And we're going to put that on the card at 1/8 of an inch around the top, the left and the right. Okay, so next we're going to put on this green card. So put the adhesive on the aqua side. And you're going to put this towards the bottom of the card. I'm just going to move this up for a minute. And you're going to put it about 1/2 an inch from the left edge of the card and 1.5 inches from the bottom of the card. So you can go ahead and measure that if you want. 1.5 inches from the bottom, 1/2 an inch from the left edge is where I placed it. Doesn't have to be perfect, but if you want it exactly where I put it, that's where I put it. Oh, I'm going to move this back up again while I put this other card. And next is going to be the bird. And I'm going to put this 1/8 of an inch from the bottom edge of the card and about 3/8 of an inch from the right edge of the card. So this one where it's 1.5 inches, the green is 1.5 inches and 1/2 an inch. And this blue is 1/8 of an inch from the bottom and about 3/8 of an inch from the right. And let's go ahead and put our green squares down. Okay, so one of them is going to go in the bottom left corner of the card, 1/8 of an inch from the left and 1/8 of an inch from the bottom. And then the other one is going to go between these two cards in the corner. And again, you're going to leave that 1/8 of an inch spacing on the left and the bottom. There. The lighting is hard with the black card. Even harder? I don't know. Okay, so now we can put on our black film strip. And I'm going to use my glue pen and put my glue across the center strips and down the sprocket holes. Trying carefully not to move it, although I am shifting it slightly, making sure those middle strips are still wet, which they are because my glue pen, I got a lot of glue flowing. And then I'm going to put my film strip down. On an angle. Across both the green and blue cards, leaving a good amount of space. It's about 1 1/8 or 1 1/4 from the top of the card to the top of that film strip. Okay, now I'm going to show you how to turn your Smiles and Hugs rectangle into a banner. So we're going to dovetail, this is called the dovetail, to make it look like a banner. So the way, this is the way to do it precisely. I'm going to the banner is 5/8 of an inch tall, and I'm going to measure in 1/2 an inch from the right edge. And I know this 5/8 makes it a little more challenging. Did I cut this one bigger? Oh, sorry. Mine is smaller. So hopefully yours is 3/4 of an inch wide. So if it is 3/4 of an inch wide, you're going to measure in 1/2 of 3/4 is 3/8. So you're going to measure in 1/2 an inch from the end, and you're going to make a pencil mark at 3/8 of an inch from the bottom, either the bottom or the top. It should be 3/8 of an inch for both. Mine is slightly smaller, so I'm just adjusting my measurements. Since mine's 5/8, it's really, I really want to be between the 1/4 and the 3/8 inch mark. But hopefully I cut yours a little bigger, so it's a little easier. And can you see that little pen? No, you cannot see that little pencil mark. I'm going to make it bolder. I don't want you to make yours bolder because then you just have to erase it, but I want you to be able to see it. So I'm going to take a detail cutting scissor, and I'm cutting from one of the corners to that dot, and then I'm cutting from the other corner to that dot. And then I am removing that triangle. I didn't get that quite in the corner. And that's how you make a banner. Now, the other way to do it, as I always say, is to just wing it. You can make a dot where you think it looks good without a ruler, or you don't need to make a dot at all. This is why I didn't want you to make a dark dot, because now I'm erasing mine. I'm actually going to have to cut mine off because I made it so dark that I can't get totally rid of the dot. So you could just eyeball and say, hey, that looks good. But if you want it precise, and some people have trouble eyeballing that measurement and they want more precision, and that's understandable, that's how you measure. It would be on any size, it would be the middle of the height of the piece. And then you pick, if you want a tiny triangle, you only go in a 1/4 inch. If you want a wider angle, we went in a 1/2 inch. So it's whatever look you like. And of course, the bigger the banner, the farther you might want to go in a little bit, Not always the case, but it depends on it. If you see banners on cards, you'll see all different. You'll see deep ones, you'll see narrow ones. All right, so I'm going to put this on the card with foam tape, and I'm also going to put the foam tape on my butterfly. Hey, we did make it through without having to change the roll of my ATG. Okay. Just taking off the tape backing. And I'm gonna put the banner on first. And I'm gonna put that up here. I'm gonna put the left edge along the left edge of that card. And I'm kind of centering it in the space between the top of the card and the film strip. If you put your film strip up higher, you can overlap it. Whatever looks good. I have about a 1/4 inch space at the top because that was just how my spacing worked out. And then I'm going to put the butterfly down over here. I'm overlapping the film strip a little bit, and I'm overlapping the green square a little bit. I think I've mentioned this before, but I see when I look at what I'm broadcasting, I see mirror image. So sometimes it screws up I screw up what direction I'm supposed to move. If you've ever wondered why I'm moving, if it looks like I don't know what I'm doing, that's why. Because it's hard to work in mirror image. I'm not quite sure why they do that, but so it is. All right, so now we can add excuse me, our shimmer brush. Okay, and we're gonna color the butterfly. Needed a little more liquid, so just squeezing it gently over my scrap paper. I didn't know if that was in screen or not. Noticed on my sample cards, I didn't go ahead, I did not color in these kind of like outside areas between the two black lines of the butterflies. But I'm doing it on these cards, so whatever look you prefer. I don't mind if you make variations to my designs. Obviously, I'll actually never know unless you tell me, but even if I did know, it's fine. We call it going rogue sometimes. Okay, and so I am also going to add scribbles to the green squares. And now I can seal my pen for good because I know I'm not using it again tonight. And there we go. And my gems. And I did the whole cluster over here, you can see. And we've got a small silver one at the top. Runaway gem. And then we have a large green one below that to the left. And a large blue one to the right. And a large silver one below those two. And a small green one, which I don't know, I guess I colored this one blue. So I guess my card will have a blue one. And if yours will have either a green or a blue, whatever's left, doesn't matter, I guess. And so sometimes you get glue on your X-Acto knife blade when you do that. Careful when you clean it off though. So we've got a small silver, a large green, a large blue, a large silver, and a large either blue or green, whatever you have left. And that's it. Put the white behind it to help the camera. So I hope you enjoyed these cards. I hope you enjoyed the shimmer brush. I will have more classes coming up. I just don't have anything scheduled yet, so stay tuned. I will email you when I schedule something. If you have any questions about anything, feel free to contact me. The video will stay up, so you can watch it as many times as you want. And thanks so much for joining me tonight. I will hang on a few minutes here, just in case there's any questions. Oh, and if you would be so kind as to give me a thumbs up on the video, we're a small group, but it someday could help me with on YouTube by having those thumbs ups. What kind of glue did you use to put the film strips on? Okay, the glue I use is it's a Zig two-way glue pen. I like the one with the chisel tip. It says, I don't know if you could see that, but it says chisel tip on there. See, it's a slightly wider tip. They sell one that has a really skinny, like a ballpoint pen tip for really small areas, which probably good for some things, but the chisel tip is I use much more often for my die cuts. And Close to My Heart does sell these. Let me just make sure they're actually in stock before I tell you that. No. So you can get them at Michael's or Joann's. So yeah, so that's where you can get them. And I find them really handy for the die cuts, as I said. So put the wet one on top. I don't know if you guys can't really see this whole area is so shimmery. Let's see if I can wash that off. Otherwise, well, I guess if I can't wash it off, it's just permanent and it won't get over anything else. So, okay. Anything else before I sign off? Just gathering all my pieces here. Oh, let me see if there is more of those. Whoops. I'm looking to see what's still available in this paper collection in case you're interested in any extra supplies. Okay, so the PML cards are still available. So if you wanted to get some more of these cards to make some more cards, those are available. So you'd be able to do most of it. That green and white striped paper is not available anymore, but certainly that is replaceable by something else. The stamp set is not available anymore, but if you did want to borrow mine, I'm happy to let you use that. Or you may have your own butterfly stamp. and film strip die cut. So don't know how much longer they'll last, but they are still available. Right now, at this moment, I should say. All right. I'm going to sign off, but I'm available if you have questions. And thank you so much. Have a good night.